There is a conversation happening inside you right now. Most people never examine it. It happens before the pitch, before the interview, before the room where everything could change. A voice that whispers, "Are you sure you belong here?" And here is what nobody tells you about high performance. Your results will never exceed your self-concept. Not your strategy, not your preparation, not your experience. Your self-concept. The most dangerous ceiling in your career is not the one above you. It is the one you built inside yourself. From every rejection you internalized, every room that made you feel small, every version of yourself you abandoned just to make someone else comfortable, you will never outperform the story you are telling yourself in private. So the question is not, what is my strategy? The question is, who do I believe I am? Because when the identity shifts, everything shifts. That voice did not appear on its own. It was constructed over years, over rooms, over moments you have mostly forgotten, but your nervous system has not. The first time you were in a high-stakes meeting and someone spoke over you, the deal that fell apart and the story you wrote about why, the version of yourself you presented at that table, confident, composed, and the version hiding behind it, still calculating whether you actually belonged there. This is what most sales training never touches. You can learn every closing technique in existence, memorize objection handling frameworks until they are instinct, optimize your pipeline, your outreach, your process, and still walk into a room apologizing for your presence before you say a single word. Not literally. You would never say it out loud, but they feel it. The hesitation in the opening line, the subtle lean toward agreement when resistance would serve you better, the willingness to discount what should never have been discounted. These are not sales problems. They are identity problems wearing the costume of strategy. The most successful enterprise sellers you will ever meet, the ones closing 8-figure deals, walking into boardrooms with genuine authority, handling rejection without erosion. They are not necessarily smarter than you, not more experienced. They do not have a methodology you have not seen. What they have is a different interior, a self-concept that does not negotiate under pressure. They have done the quieter, harder work, the internal audit, the deliberate examination of what they believe about themselves in the moments that cost something. Most high performers invest obsessively in external improvement, new skills, new tools, new frameworks. Identity work sits in a different category, because identity is not a variable you optimize. It is the function everything else runs on. So what actually builds your self-concept as a sales executive? 3 sources. The first, your interpretation of your own history, not the history itself, the story you chose to carry forward from it. 2 people can experience identical rejection, the same lost deal, the same hostile prospect, the same quarter that fell apart, and walk away with completely different conclusions. One writes, "I wasn't ready. I'll be better." The other writes, "I'm not the kind of person who wins at this level." Neither is objectively true, but one of them limits the future. The second source, whose validation you have allowed to become your measuring stick. Many high-functioning executives are still unconsciously performing for rooms they left years ago, for managers who underestimated them, for clients who dismissed them, still trying to prove something to someone who is no longer watching. The third, the comparisons you make in private, not your metrics against your quota, your sense of self against the curated projection of other people's success. This one is quietly corroding confidence at a scale the profession rarely discusses. Here is the inconvenient truth. You cannot shortcut this. There is no closing technique that fixes a fractured self-concept, no productivity system that builds genuine authority in a room. You will hit the quota, and the voice will set a new threshold. You will find yourself building a new ceiling just above the old one. This is not a motivation problem. Motivation is a surface-level resource. It arrives and it leaves. Identity is structural. Structural problems require structural solutions. The work is examination. Quiet, systematic, unflinching examination of the narrative you carry about who you are. Which beliefs about yourself are load-bearing? Which ones were handed to you by circumstances that no longer exist? What would it mean specifically, concretely, if you operated as the fully realized version of what you are capable of? This is what elite performers do. Not loudly, not publicly, in private, in preparation, before the room. You are going to walk back into those rooms. Tomorrow, this week, next quarter. Rooms where the stakes are real and the pressure is not theoretical. You will sit across from decisions that matter. You will carry the weight of pipelines and relationships and your own ambition. And in that moment, before you speak, before you open the deck, before the room decides who you are, you will have already decided. The most powerful thing you carry into any high-pressure situation is not a question, not a reframe, not a mindset hack. It is a declaration, a clear, private, unambiguous statement of who you choose to be in this moment, not who you were in the last one, not who the market has told you to be, who you decide to be. That is the work. That is the only ceiling worth examining. And when the identity shifts, everything shifts.